Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk about what is CIF. So CIF used for configurations management. It's an open source tool as well, followed by the paid, and especially in hosted CIF servers. And if you get that in, support, ensure configurations are applied constantly in every environment at any scale with infrastructure automations. uh, in every orchestration tool, they work on that in either that in a push model or work on that in a pull model. So especially in case of a push model, management server send out the configurations file to the managed nodes, right? And then it will be work on that. Then pull model, nodes leverage the installations agent to download the configurations file from the management server. Especially what it will be happen, let's say you have a this is that in your control server, and then you have that in a different nodes. Okay, so here in case of like in CIF server, this node is going to pull the configurations from the CIF server, but in case of a push model, everything will be controlled via that in this control server itself. Okay, so remember CIF is that in a pull based model. Okay, and it's work on that. Due to that, you can see nodes do that in a heavy lifting of a configurations themselves, not that in a CIF server. So remember this point as well. And it's a easy enforce constant configurations. A repeatable process eliminate the drift. Customizable code for unmatched flexibility. Could integrate word that in painless migrations and management, and manage the configurations with a confidence through that in a testable code, followed by the simple ad hoc configurations with a CIF workstations. We are going to talk on that in what is the CIF workstations and many more in this video only. This graph I have referred from blogs.ground.work.io, and where you can see that in a CIF is there, while comparing with a Puppet, Ansible, Stack, Cloud Formations, and Terraform. So in terms of a code, cloud type, infrastructure, language, and architectures. So CIF is that in open source and closed source as well. Cloud, it's work for all. It's a type of a configurations management tool. It's a mutable and then a procedural language followed by the client server. The here you can see that in a few tools like in a Ansible, which is widely used again, and but that is only a client only. In my another video, I'm going to share you that in a Ansible's related, which I personally like it compared to other tools like in what we have that in a CF Puppet. Okay, of course, Terraform and Cloud Formations are like entirely different for that in a for infrastructure as the code, and orchestrations tool. It's not a configurations management. You can see here I just extracted some a nice periodic table from XVL Labs. I'm not advertising that in these organizations. However, they have listed out that in all these the tools, and you can see the CIF is here. CIF architectures, it will be a start from the workstations. So workstations, especially developers and all people those who are working on that, they will be write that in a recipe or cookbook in that in workstations. With help of some tools we use to push it into that in a CIF server, and then node will be go and pull that in a all configurations from that in a the server. Okay, if you remember, because it's work on that in a pool base, right? So what is that in a then CIF server? The CIF like in server is the central point where the configurations are stored. So this is nothing but a CIF server where all workstations they use to push that in a code, and then nodes go and pull that in a configurations from there. It's a client nodes pull the configurations from the CIF server, Then here you can see that in a SIF server, so we have a book shelf, we have a users, knife tools, followed by the SIF client, and then manage, followed by the indexing, data store, and cookbook. Then we have a workstations. These are the workstations. So configurations policy are created, managed, and tested. Single or multiple workstations created or alter policy pushed out to the in a SIP server, that it will be done via the workstation. Then we have a third one is the client node. The network components managed by the SIF server. SIF client is installed to pull the informations from that in a SIF server. Again, you can see here the pull, because this client is going to pull the configurations from this SIF server. There is, and a storage device, containers, physical hardware, and virtual hardware, etc. The SIF architecture, so it will be a start with like in end of a number of users they used to write cookbook and recipes. Then they push that in SIF server. The SIF servers, it will be connect with a multiple nodes, okay, and then either then in the on premises or in that in a cloud, and then with help of a different client as well, which is supported by the SIF, and then it will be work. In my another video, I'm going to explain you in details of that in if architectures. Then we have a few terms or terminology, especially SIF server. So SIF server used to store configurations data, and administrator access the rights. It allow the hub for that in a other machines. Then workstations allow us to interact with our servers, and they build out the configurations policy. On the workstations, we will be write the SIF code and manage our the infrastructure environment. Then we have a client. The client node will be represent one of the servers in our organizations that will be managed through that in a SIF. Then in SIF in the configurations deployment, then we have a developer, they are pushing the code, and then it will be go to the central repository system, and you can see here SIF is used for that in a configurations management, which is going to deploy that in a configurations applications or configurations in the QA environment, followed by the productions. So we can also use that in a SIF and integrate with a DevOps lifecycle or pipeline in that in a, and then SIF work on that, right? Likewise, other configurations management. SIF can be also work in the on-premises or in that in a cloud, starting from the networking to till to that in a applications perspective. Few terminology you should know, especially what is that in a recipe, because if is written in that in a language in Ruby, so configurations informations written in the Ruby programming language, right? The collections of a recipe and other files used for facilitate is known as the cookbook. Then we have a workstation SIF repo directory. So repository on the workstations where cookbooks are created. Then we have a book shelf repository on the server where the cookbooks are stored, right? Then we have a knife command line tools. With help of these tools, we use to push that in, especially from workstations to the server. By definitions, primary way of that workstations communicate with the servers are as a public key pair in with help of a security. Then we have a test kitchen, which is that in a cookbook and recipe test environment on the workstations. And that is all about that in what is SIF and their few terminology followed by the architectures. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.